All right, folks, welcome to the Jimmy O Show. This is your host, Jimmy Ordino, with our week three players of the week. I'm joined today with our, well, let me say this. We're not joined by our special teams player of the week, Will Carroll. He's unavailable, but we got our offensive and defensive guys of the week. Well-deserved honors. First, Vinny Murphy, center, senior center. How we doing, Vin?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing great. And the defensive player of the week, probably to no one's surprise, Mr. Grubbs. How we doing, Tyler?
Doing wonderful. Wonderful.
Great. All right, gents. Well, I appreciate it. Look, not the result we wanted on Saturday, obviously, but it's one of those things where you hope to take something from and build off of it. First things first, though. I mean, just the environment. How was it playing in that environment and sort of that opponent?
You want me to start?
Yeah, yeah. Whoever can get
Um,
started.
I think it was pretty fun. You're in a hostile environment. We're an away team coming to a ranked game. It was definitely for us on offense definitely challenging a little bit. Playing in a bigger crowd, bigger setting. Has some challenges starting off with it. Especially the noise and things of that nature. But it was definitely a fun atmosphere to be a part of and to be in for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. How about you, T?
Yeah, no, it was exciting. We didn't have obviously as many challenges as the offense had with the crowd noise and everything, but now it was good to go out there and get some of the young dudes on defense get experience with a big crowd like that, and just personally for me, it's always fun to play with an SEC crowd, a packed out crowd like that. So it's always fun to have an experience like that.
Yeah, no doubt. Speaking of experiences, Vinny, the guy you snapped the ball to, I'm sure when you draw up how you want someone making their very first road start of their career, it's probably not quite in that environment. You like to ease into it a little bit, but that's not how it came out. So we play the hand we're dealt. What sort of how'd you think Darian handle it, being the sort of the signal caller and with the crowd noise, with the environment you're in?
To be honest with you, being an older guy with him being young, I think he did an exceptional job. Being young and going to an environment like that can definitely rattle some guys and maybe make their eyes kind of pretty big for the show. And he went in there and he played with confidence. And even when we played K State, 2 weeks ago, he did the same thing. He went out there and he did his thing. And obviously, on offense, we had some struggles going in this game, and he played against a really good defense. Their front seven, their D line, their linebackers were very active and they were very good, and even their secondary was pretty strong too. Um, I think he did a great job. I think the show wasn't too big for him, and he executed at a high level at what he could do, and I'm excited to see what he can do going forward.
Yeah. You know, I just when you talk about that front seven, the defensive tackles were really impressive on film, and they were really impressive in person. They, 3, 4 guys that worked in that space, and they were just a load, man. And they kept 28 pretty clean, Stutzman. And I turned to somebody about into the first quarter and I said, that guy might make 35 tackles today. I mean, it's
Oh
just
yeah,
it
he
was a
he was
work.
he was probably one of the best players out there for sure. That defense was definitely set up for their secondary to make most of those plays, but the front guys were pretty good players too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was impressed, but I was also impressed with our effort, sort of sticking with it, and as the game wore on, you guys started imposing your will a little bit. Those 1 and 2 yard gains were turning into 7 and 8 yard gains. You saw Mackay breaking tackles; they were getting a little tired of tackling them, and it's almost like you wish you could play 15 more minutes to see what would happen. Um,
Oh, absolutely.
but so Tyler, I know how excited you were for the game. It's no secret, and I know how hard. I guess you took the loss. I mean, it was a game we could have won. You wanted to win it. It meant a lot to you. But what I was really touched by was, you stopped after the game despite the heartache. I mean, I know how hard you took it. And gave a hug to a special needs guy who just wanted a hug on the sideline, man. Um, no real question there. I just wanted to share with our audience if they didn't see that as the type of guy you are, man. I just so impressed by that being human first, and much respect to you for that.
No, yeah, I
Um,
appreciate that for sure. Yeah, it was kind of it was very like like not interesting, but like very like you know eye catching for me because obviously after a game like that, like it's very upsetting to lose to an opponent like that when you're so close and you work so hard for moments like that. And then after a game, you're emotional and and obviously it's okay to be very like upset and you want to be with yourself and and try to break down like everything that just happened. So that's what I was doing, and I was like, man, like this just really just sucks right now. Like everything hurts, like all emotions are running. And I'm like thinking like it's it could there could be no worse, and then I hear yelling from the fan from a fan up top, and I'm like, man, like what does this guy want, And so I turn around and he's like, yeah, man, like he was originally telling me, he's like, man, you lost, and I was like, yeah, we lost, and then he was like, yeah, come give me a hug, and I was like, man, like after I gave him a hug, I just kind of like I was like, dang, like it really could be like people are fighting way harder fights, and just to put that in perspective, it's like man, like I get to play a game, in an atmosphere like that, and he was just there loving to watch it. He's fighting, tougher things, and he's out there watching me play football. So it was really awesome to see that and to realize that.
yeah, man, I just I can't say enough about it because it's realizing that everybody gets dealt adversity, right? I mean, God puts obstacles in all of our paths, and we're it's everybody's cross is different, so to speak, and it puts the game into perspective. And I found in my life, at least, like when I stopped trying to be the best lawyer ever and just realized that lawyer was what I did. I needed to be the best person I could be. I became a better lawyer. It's like it's one of these things that when you get your perspective right, it makes things fall into place. But about the game itself, T, I thought, early on, Jackson Arnold I thought was a really good athlete. I don't think he was a particularly advanced passer of the football, but he was effective early on with sort of finding spots and zones and so forth. I really liked how we came out in the second half. Was that just something y'all talked about at halftime? Was look, we're gonna be a bit more aggressive here, go more man, more blitz, things of that nature. Was that something I talked about, or did Coach Gas just kind of spring that on you uh, with the calls?
Yeah, no, we talked about it at halftime that definitely we're gonna do a lot more man and send some more pressure, more plugs and everything. So it was definitely an adjustment that we made at halftime, but it was also something that like man, like as a defense, we got because they were coming out on offense, coming out of half. Like we have to start off hot and give our offense opportunities, to get them going. So I think that was a big thing for us, giving our offense as many opportunities to score was gonna be big for us for that half. And yeah, we just came out with that mindset, and I think it it showed for a good little bit.
It certainly did, and you individually, man. I mean, we're talking about I think our first sack of the game, but you had a sack, one of the three sacks we had against this SEC offensive line, and then of course the pick six. We heated him up, good pressure in his face, and you read it perfectly, T. And it had to be quite a feeling to walk into that end zone and have 85,000 people dead silent.
Yeah, no doubt. And it was very interesting because it was either a play before or two plays before. If you go back and watch, they ran basically the same mesh concept but out of a different formation. And if you see it, I was like literally 2 yards away from them, and I knew every time they had a completed ball, they were going to their best receiver, number six, very good player. So I knew when they had to come to it for another mesh play that they were going to throw the ball number six. So just kind of same play came out of a different formation. I knew exactly where he was going to go with it for that one, and that just kind of unfolded. But yeah, man, to do that, in that atmosphere is special. It's an awesome feeling. It really is like something you dream of, like playing when you're younger. Going play at a big game like that and doing something like that. It's really awesome to experience that.
Yeah, I know. Like that was sort of the moment we were losing our minds on the sideline. We just knew
No
we
doubt,
knew it
no
was
doubt.
gonna go. We were gonna finish it off, and we will over the course of the season. That's one setback, but let's look forward. Like so, ULL. I mean, here's the thing about the schedule. Not only was it kind of tough with K State and then at Oklahoma, but now we get a Cajuns team that look they'll be way up for our game. They're coming off of a bye. They get 11 a.m. kickoff. It's going to be super hot in Lafayette. I think your average team would let down in this spot. How about both of y'all? Start with you, Vinny. Why don't you kind of talk to me about what sort of the key is to play Green Wave football, play up to our standard on Saturday morning?
I think it's just executing our jobs. It's like knowing your assignment. Last week in Oklahoma, and we had a lot of MAs on our side of the ball, and I think this week, if we fix those little things on offense, I think we're gonna be very excited with the outcome of how it's gonna look for sure.
Yeah. How about you, T?
Yeah, kind of the same thing with Benny. Very need to be very detail oriented. Within our schemes, understanding your gap, understanding your man, knowing that like they say, 10 people can do something right, one person does it wrong, it could be a touchdown. So being detailed for us is gonna be very key for us. And then always just running to the ball. It can make up for a lot of things. So our effort and being detailed this week is going to be big for us to win this game. And so yeah, we're excited about that. And I think the way we've been practicing, um, just preparing and just being able to move on from something like that is has been good for us. So I think the way we're practicing, the way we've been being able to move on from that loss is going to play a big role in this game right here.
Yeah, no doubt. Look, you only promised 12 of them, right? And so every
Exactly.
one's big.
Hmm.
Every single game's big, and you have all your goals in front of you, and with lesser teams, lesser programs, lesser cultures, I'd be really worried. But I got to tell you, I'm not too worried. I mean, that's not a disrespect to them; they're a good opponent. But I don't think it's gonna be if we don't come out where we expect to be on Saturday, it won't be because you guys let down. It's gonna be because they just had a great game. Um, but I feel good about where we headed. I look forward to Saturday, man, and I look forward to watching both of you play again. Thanks for your time today on the Jimmy O Show.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
No doubt.
All
Appreciate
right,
you, Mr.
Jay,
Jimmy, always.
you got it, my friend.
Jimmy, what's happening, man? So while we wait for these job takers of the week here to hop in, quite a bit of news on the Twitter. Some news about Tulane possibly heading to the Pac-12. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't actually sort of on the inside or as inside as I am. There's not a lot of chatter about it. And that's how these things go. Uh I mean I don't necessarily I don't know enough facts to have a strong opinion about what's best for Tulane. What I could say is kind of outline what the facts are. And maybe not everybody's aware of those. I mean the biggest fact, I think there are really two issues in this. This is your sort of year over year revenue. What would a move like this do to that? And then the other one is your access to the college football playoff. Football access to the college football playoff. Actually, none of the P4s are guaranteed access. What the rules say are that the top five conference champions each year are the only or get bids, and then there's seven at large, right? And so that's the formula. Currently, we're in a system where um, or a conference that has traditionally gotten the benefit when you compare us to the other so-called G5 leagues. It was recognized that the American tended to be a tougher strength of schedule, and in a case of a tie, if the records were close, we would get the nod. I think, in fact, when you talk about the New Year's Six invites, which is a similar, 12-team invite structure, and so in that environment, I think the Cotton Bowl, for example, I think we were a two-loss team. I believe there was a one-loss team for me, the Conference USA or the Sun Belt or something, and we got the bid over. Um, so that's the example of that deference. What you're concerned with on the access front is that if this league takes the two former P5 teams and then takes really kind of the top four from the Mountain West and then adds valuable members of the American, does the perception of the league change? Of course, that's one fact, but there are lots of other things, right? Like, so what's the money like? What are you going to do about travel? I mean, you really don't want to put non-revenue sports going across the country for every game. You would need to have partners that are close by. What other league? What's going to happen with the ACC? Right? Nobody knows that yet. I mean, so really, it's kind of like I'm not going to claim to be wise enough to say what's the best move for Tulane. I just know that preservation of assets while not completely decimating your balance sheet is probably how the decision is going to be made.
Yeah. So look, we got the two job takers getting ready to come in. Green Wave man did just post a comment. Pac-12 will have the best chance to be the 5th highest conference winner pretty much every year with current teams. Yeah, but like I think we're missing out on what you just said. Like if we're thinking purely from a football perspective, you take it if you can get it, right? Because I do think if you look at the way that the group of 5 is set up right now, Tulane went out and played 2 really difficult teams, right? And hung with both. Definitely should have won one. The Oklahoma game, I agree with you. It had another 15 minutes, we probably come out and win that game. So, with the exception of Boise State, we already played a tougher. Well, I guess got Northern Illinois too. I guess they're playing some tough games too. So, I mean, I see it from all angles. I'd love the glitz and glam, but I understand what you're saying.
Yep. It's interesting times to be sure. What's
Yeah.
good is that Tulane would have never really been in these conversations except for something about potential in the past, and that's how we ended up in the American. People looked at it as like, okay, Tulane's been a struggling program, but there's potential there. Now, a lot of that potential has been realized, and people say, the fact that it may even have choices is a really interesting place to be considering where we come from. So,
all right, I'm gonna jump off. Bring on Seth and Chase.
All right. All right, we got our job takers of the week. We got Seth Gale and Chase Green. How we doing, gentlemen?
Good.
All right, having a good week of practice so far?
Yes, sir.
All right, I want to let you know, man. One of these weeks I had a job taker on. I think it was week 1. Jared Henderson was one of our job takers, and the next thing you know, I'm watching the guy make plays in front of 85,000 people at Oklahoma. So that seems like a very literal term at Tulane. So you should feel good about being job takers this week. We are missing one of our job takers. Unfortunately, class comes first at Tulane. We try to pick a time for the Jimmy O show that everybody can be on, but we can't always make it work. I'm actually in a car leaving a JV football game right now. I'll tend to try to be in a physical location, but watching my son play comes first. So I watched this game and I'm in the car, but Harold Lawson couldn't join us this week because Harold had class tonight. So let's start with you, Chase. Chase, tell us what your role was this week in practice and sort of what you were trying to simulate for the starters.
All right, this last week I played nickel. Just giving the boys pressure. Good man-to-man coverage. Being aggressive when when the receivers have to block. Just going all out. From my side, to help me get better, but also help the offense get better. Just going against players they're going up against. Just me going all in practice for them helps it be easier for them when it comes down to the game.
Right, no doubt. And man, look, talk about an impressive secondary. I mean, you saw it on the tape you watched, but then I got to tell you, when I saw it in person, I was like, yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. That's not even the unit we talk about most when we talk about Oklahoma. We really kind of talk about their front seven, but the reality is that their secondary there were no weak links, man. You kind of knew they were going to prevent the big play unless you can get it over the top of them because they were so fast getting to the ball and sound tackling and getting guys on the ground. You had your work cut out for you this week. I'm glad, but you gave us a look because we had some success passing them despite their talent level. So thank you for that. Now, Seth, let's talk a little bit about your side. You what was your assignment during the week? What were you simulating?
I was number 6 for the offense, the wide receiver for Oklahoma, and I mean, yeah. So
you were
this week
busy.
it was. I had a lot of routes, but Oklahoma's a really big downfield passing team. So during the week we were doing a lot of shots, double moves, plays downfield, because we had seen on tape that as like they weren't as much sustained drives. They were kind of like a big shot play team, like really like getting the deep ball and getting the playmakers in space. So I was playing as number 6. I was moving around, kind of motions, stuff like that, and so it was just giving the defense a good look and trying to stop those managed big throws.
Yeah, man, I think you might have needed a little bit of cryotherapy after that week of practice. I mean, 6 literally did everything, like you're saying. I mean, you saw him running the slot fade, you saw him sort of running the options over the middle, you saw him with the slants, I mean, he was everywhere. And they must have targeted him 15 times in that game. So it's a tough look. Okay, well, let's look just a little bit. Why don't y'all tell us a little bit about yourself, Seth? Where are you from? What's your classification? What's your major?
I am a freshman, true freshman. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to U High on SC campus, and I had a political science major.
Very good. How about you, Chase?
I'm from Largo, Florida, and I'm a sports medicine major.
Okay, you're a freshman or
Oh,
redshirt?
true freshman, sure.
True freshman. Good deal. Good deal. Well, look, man. Looking ahead, ULL. It gets. I don't know. I don't want to say it doesn't get easier. I mean, I guess it does from a talent level standpoint. But those guys, they'll be rowdy there, waiting for us at 11 a.m. on Saturday. It's going to be a hostile environment, and got our work ahead of us there too. So why don't you guys tell me a little bit about sort of what who's the players we got to look out for? Like who are you simulating, and like how are we gonna control those matchups against those guys? So let's start with you, Chase.
This week, Harold is also the other person. We usually switch. It's a nickel and a sound. They usually switch, alternate. Most of the cover 14, cover 6. Like to play off a lot. Quick reaction, come down, play ball, get to the tackle quick, fill in the gaps type team. Stuff like that. I'm just playing the nickel. Just either man pressure, whatever coach need me to do. I'm done doing it. Just trying to get the boys good looks, and whether it's off man-to-man coverage, or if it's just me filling the gap.
Yeah, so you're dealing with a lot of Mario in practice. Is it, he's up for the assignment? He can handle it.
Yes, sir.
All right, Seth. How about you? What are you seeing on your side?
Yeah, I'm number 4 this week in practice. I believe against Bernard for UL. But they like to run a lot of stacks, a lot of makings. They're not as much like Oklahoma where they like pushing the ball downfield. They like to run the ball a lot more, kind of a downhill running team. Um, but a lot of the stacks, I mean, they're a physical team. And this week it's a in-state game. Coach from talks about all the time. It's our state championship. It's a state championship game. We take that very seriously, and it's about winning that state. We beat Southeastern early in the year, and not taking any of these opponents lightly.
Yeah. The strength of their team is the run game and outstanding running backs and all that, and so I imagine Four's pretty involved with blocking that, but with all these stacks, trying to get him free releases, trying to get him off quick into the secondary. So, look, man, they're well coached. They got a lot of talent there, and I'm sure we got a heck of a matchup in front of us. Do you have any teammates playing for those teams? I think you said you did, Seth.
Let me think. I play against some guys that are playing at UO right now, and I'm perfect familiar with running backs. I'm trying to remember if I have any of the kids that I played high school ball with at UO right now. I don't believe so, but a lot of kids from BR. I played against Daniel Beal, who's one of the quarterbacks out there, and then Hutch Smith from St. Thomas More.
Right. Chase, I don't think there's many people from Florida playing at UL, but you happen to have any teammates on that squad?
No, sir. Not that I know of.
Yeah. I didn't think so, but you never know, man. You never know. So the world, as you get older, you'll realize the world's actually a pretty small place. So,
Yeah, sure.
well, folks, yeah. Well, look, guys, appreciate all you do for the program and the effort you putting in. Your time's coming, but in the meantime, you make the most of your opportunity on at practice and help the team get better. And I appreciate all you do for us. And so, look, I also look forward to seeing you later on this year. I want to see you get this award again.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right, man. Thanks so much for your time. Good to see you.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. You too.
All right, Jimmy, as we wrap up week 3, any final thoughts on the Oklahoma week, and then what you're thinking heading into UL? Or
Yeah,
as like I
look, I
like to
mean,
say, ULO.
yeah, of course. Yeah. Look, man, it was probably in the most probable result of the schedule would be that would be 1 and 2 right now. I mean, obviously, we were about an 8 or 9 point dog, I think, to Kansas State at home, and then we were about a 15-point dog to Oklahoma at Oklahoma. Obviously, both games um, ended around that number, but both games were very close. Tulane had an opportunity to win both games in the fourth quarter. So we were as good as sort of so the outside perspective is those games kind of went about as expected. The inside perspective, though, was I really thought we had a chance to win one or both of those games, and for the most part, I think that's what we saw. Right? We saw a team that was close, didn't quite get it done, and I think what Coach Summerall has hammered on, and is really important is it's a lot less about them and it's more about us. I mean, when you look particularly with the Oklahoma game result, there was a lot of self-inflicted stuff. You heard Vinny Murphy say it, a lot of MAs, missed assignments, and it was a lot of if we clean up our own thing and we play to our standard, there's really not a lot on the schedule left that can touch us. Now, if we don't, we can lose. We can certainly lose to ULL. We can certainly lose to South Florida. We can lose to a number of teams, but if we play to our standard, we play to our capability and the program standard, I think we'll be just fine. Because Summerall started out 1 and 2 each of the last 2 years, and then finished 12 and 2 and 11 and 2, I believe. So he's familiar with this spot, and we look forward to the opportunity to do that here.
What would you say about going forward? Are these out of conference games already scheduled? Because I know LSU schedules their out of conference games years out, right? Are Tulane's out of conference games already scheduled for next year?
Yeah, they're typically completely booked up. Now, of course, particularly with conference realignment, you have openings that pop up, and you got to fill them because teams have different in-conference scheduling needs, so it has a domino effect. But yeah, I think Tulane's got contracts even into 2030 and things like that.
I was just wondering if you would see, with the way the playoffs are stacked now, if you would not schedule maybe games like this against Oklahoma.
I think from Tulane's perspective, I know from the perception standpoint, but I mean, you look at it, 3-4 plays go another way, you can win the game. But even you acquitted yourself nicely enough that like let's look into the crystal ball. If Oklahoma and Kansas State have good years, right? Oklahoma's going to have some struggles, I think, offensively in the SEC. That's going to be the challenge.
I think they're going to lose 3 or 4 games.
Yeah, their defense could play. They have a tough schedule, really hard schedule there. The way it lines up, they have like 3 current top 10 teams. They don't get Georgia, but they get they get 3 other. You got
Alabama,
Tennessee,
LSU, Tennessee, yeah,
Ole Miss, yeah. I mean, and some of them all in a row, and so. But so let's say they're 75-8-4 in the first year of SEC. That's still, with that schedule, people recognize that to be a good team. And then K-State, I think is still the favorite to win that league in Big 12. And so, yes, having 2 losses hurts, but I think that a committee will recognize in a close call situation that Tulane scheduled hard and played well and can actually compete with many of the top 12 teams in the country. I think the other effect you get from it is that, okay, let's say you're the 12 seed. You're going to go to a opposing team. You're going to go to the 5 seeds building to play in that first round. Well, guess what? Tulane's been in that environment already this year.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Bank,
yeah,
right. And so that part of it is not something you're taking on the first time with everything at stake. You kind of got some familiarity there. So I think there's benefits to it. I think from our perspective to continue to do things like that. And I hope we do. I maybe not want to schedule Georgia and Ohio State, but most every other team I do take a shot against, see what happens. So,
well, all right, Jimmy. I guess we'll wrap it up there, brother.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for hosting us, Bradley. And Tulane fans, if you haven't done so, please check out our website, fearthewavecollective.com, to find out about everything that we're doing. It includes our merchandise store. It includes your ability to subscribe, get exclusive content that you can't get anywhere else. Jimmy O, I'm a man of the people, man. I like to keep putting this out for free, but there's a lot of stuff that we're publishing behind a paywall that if you're a diehard, you're really going to want to have. Different subscription levels for different needs. Go ahead and take a look. Check us out and support the wave, support the collective. Roll wave.
Roll wave.